There is a man in every room who almost says nothing. He does not compete for attention. He does not laugh loudly at jokes that are not funny. He does not explain himself when questioned, and he does not justify his decisions when challenged. Most people in that room will unconsciously orbit around him without knowing why. They will feel his presence before they understand it. They will watch him more than they watch the men who are speaking. And when he finally does speak, once, maybe twice, the entire room shifts. That is not charisma. That is not confidence in the way self-help books describe it. That is something older, colder, and far more deliberate. That is the psychology of the silent man. And by the end of this video, you will understand exactly why silence is not emptiness. It is the most concentrated form of power a man can carry into any space. Before we begin, understand this. There is one principle that governs everything discussed in this video, a principle the Stoics understood deeply but rarely named directly. It will be revealed in the final chapter. It is the reason why truly powerful men are so rarely understood, so rarely challenged, and so rarely defeated. Keep that in your mind as we move forward. Most men speak because they are afraid of what silence reveals about them. This is not an opinion. It is a behavioral pattern documented in social psychology for decades. When a man over-explains, over-justifies, or fills every silence with words, he is unconsciously signaling anxiety. He is telling the room that he needs to be understood, needs to be validated, needs to be accepted. The volume of a man's speech is often inversely proportional to the depth of his internal security. The louder the man, the more desperate the performance. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." What he was identifying was not simply a moral position, it was a behavioral discipline. Every unnecessary word you speak is a small withdrawal from your psychological authority. Every explanation you offer without being asked is a quiet confession that you are not sure of your own position. The man who needs the room to agree with him in order to feel secure has already surrendered his power before the conversation even begins. Watch men in high-pressure environments, in boardrooms, in confrontations, in social hierarchies. The ones who speak most frantically are the ones most threatened. The ones who sit still and say little are the ones the room fears most. Noise is not dominance. Noise is the sound of a man trying to hold himself together in front of witnesses. Silence is not the absence of power. It is the accumulation of it. When you stop explaining yourself to people who have no authority over your life, something measurable happens in the social dynamic. Other people become uncertain. Uncertainty in any interaction belongs to the person who has the least control, and you have just transferred that uncertainty directly onto them. Epictetus understood this when he wrote, "Better to be silent and thought a fool than to speak and remove all doubt." But this was never purely about restraint, it was about strategic psychological positioning. A man who does not react to provocations forces his opponent to keep moving, keep talking, keep escalating, and every move they make in that silence exposes them further. The silent man does not give feedback, he gives nothing. And when you give a person nothing to respond to, nothing to counter, nothing to grab hold of, they begin to unravel on their own. This is not cruelty. This is the mechanics of psychological leverage. In interrogation science, trained professionals know that silence after a question produces more information than any follow-up question ever could. The human nervous system cannot tolerate sustained silence in a social context. It will fill the void, often with the very thing it was trying to hide. The silent man weaponizes this instinct. He sits inside the discomfort while others scramble to escape it, and in that stillness, he gathers everything he needs to know about the people around him. But here is what most men will never accept. Silence is not something you simply choose. It is something you earn. And the reason most men cannot sustain it even for 60 seconds has nothing to do with personality. It has everything to do with what is unresolved inside them. The inability to remain silent under pressure is a symptom of internal disorder. When a man has unresolved insecurity, unprocessed anxiety, or an identity that depends on external perception, silence becomes physically threatening to him. The brain interprets social silence as danger, specifically the danger of being misread, dismissed, or forgotten. So it compels speech as a defense mechanism. This is not weakness in the moral sense. It is the automatic output of an undisciplined psychology. Seneca wrote, "One of the greatest remedies for anger is delay." He was identifying a principle that extends far beyond anger management. He was describing the practice of inserting conscious stillness between stimulus and response. Most men live at the level of pure reaction. Something happens, and they immediately respond, verbally, emotionally, physically. They believe this responsiveness makes them present, engaged, or strong. In reality, it makes them predictable, and a predictable man is a controllable man. The work required to achieve genuine silence is not the work of restraint alone. It is the work of building an internal foundation so solid that external noise no longer constitutes a threat. A man who knows exactly who he is, what he values, and where he is going has no psychological need to explain himself to people who are not part of that journey. His silence is not suppression. It is the natural byproduct of a settled identity. The men who cannot stay quiet are the men who have not yet resolved the fundamental question of who they are when no one is watching and no one is approving. There is a documented psychological phenomenon in social dynamics called the strong and silent effect, but it is frequently misunderstood as a superficial aesthetic. What is actually occurring is a deep cognitive process in the observers. When a man does not perform for the room begins to project power onto him. Human beings are pattern recognition machines, and silence, particularly calm, unforced silence, breaks the social pattern. In a world where almost everyone is performing, the man who is not performing stands out as anomalous. And anomalies are interpreted as either threats or authorities. The key variable that determines which interpretation dominates is composure. A man who is silent and composed reads as a man who has nothing to prove. And in hierarchical social environments, the person who has nothing to prove is assumed to already be at the top. This is not manipulation. This is the natural social calculus that human groups have used for thousands of years to identify leadership. The Stoics called it gravitas, a weight, a seriousness, a density of presence that cannot be faked and cannot be purchased. It is built only through sustained internal discipline over time. The silent man does not try to appear powerful. He has simply removed everything that signals powerlessness: the nervous laughter, the unsolicited explanations, the need for the last word, the visible hunger for approval. And what remains, once all of that has been stripped away, is a presence that rooms respond to without fully understanding why. And yet, this is the part that separates men who understand this intellectually from men who actually embody it. The silent man is not cold because he feels nothing. He is silent because he has learned something most men spend their entire lives running from. Genuine silence, the kind that commands rooms, unsettles opponents, and builds long-term authority, is not a behavior, it is an architecture. It is what a man builds inside himself through years of confronting his own fear, his own ego, his own need for approval, and choosing repeatedly and deliberately to let those needs go unanswered. Marcus Aurelius did not write in meditations for an audience. He wrote for himself. Observations, corrections, disciplines, cold assessments of his own failures and his own nature. What that practice produced was a man who no longer required the validation of the external world to confirm his sense of self. He was the most powerful man alive in the known world at the time, and his private writing is full of self-correction rather than self-congratulation. That is the internal architecture of the silent man. He is not silent because he has mastered the social performance of silence. He is silent because his identity does not live in the room with everyone else. It lives inside him, structured and immovable, built from solitude and self-examination rather than from the reactions of others. Epictetus, who began his life as a literal slave, wrote, "Seek not that the things which happen should happen as you wish, but wish the things which happen to be as they are, and you will have a tranquil flow of life." A man who has internalized that principle has no reason to argue with the room. He has no need to correct misperceptions, defend his reputation, or assert his value to people who have not earned the right to assess it. His silence is the direct external expression of a fully inhabited internal world. And that, not the performance of quietness, not the strategy of withholding words, is the foundation from which all real power in human interaction is generated. The principle that governs everything in this video is this: power is not something you project, it is something you stop leaking. Every reaction you perform for an audience leaks power. Every explanation you offer without being asked leaks power. Every moment you adjust your behavior because someone is watching leaks power. The silent man is powerful not because he has done something extraordinary, but because he has stopped doing what ordinary men cannot stop doing: performing. He has sealed the leaks. He has built a psychological container so complete that nothing escapes it without his conscious decision. The room does not feel his power because he broadcasts it. The room feels his power because he contains it. And containment, in nature, in physics, and in human psychology, always reads as greater potential than release. What you choose not to say, not to react to, not to explain, and not to justify is not absence, it is density. And density in every system that exists is what creates gravity. The silent man does not pull people toward him through effort, he pulls them toward him through mass, the accumulated, compressed, and contained mass of a man who has stopped needing the world to tell him who he is. That is not a lesson, that is a diagnosis of what most men are missing, and what every man who has ever truly commanded a room without opening his mouth has quietly understood. The single habit that begins to build this architecture is deceptively simple and almost universally avoided: the daily practice of structured silence. Not meditation in the comfortable sense, not breathing exercises. Sit in a room with no input, no phone, no sound, no stimulation for 15 minutes each morning. Do not try to think positively. Do not try to solve problems. Simply observe what your mind does in the absence of stimulation. Notice what it reaches for. Notice what it cannot tolerate not knowing. Notice what it feels compelled to say even when there is no one to say it to. That observation, practiced daily without flinching, is the beginning of the internal construction that the silent man has completed. It will be uncomfortable. It is meant to be. The discomfort is the sound of a man who has never been alone with himself, finally meeting that reality. What you discover in that silence about your fears, your compulsions, your unsettled identity is not something to resolve immediately. It is something to observe and then to hold without running. That is the first stone in the architecture. And every man who has ever walked into a room and owned it without saying a word began somewhere by learning to sit inside his own silence without needing it to end. If this video reached something inside you that you have been avoiding, subscribe to Stoic 95. Not for motivation, not for comfort, but because this channel exists for the men who are done performing and ready to build. Every video on this channel is another stone in that architecture. The next one is already waiting for you.